Welcome to the podcast where three longtime friends talk about video games from the average gamer's perspective. My name is Andrew Kimball.
I'm Dylan Wren.
And I'm Aubrey Sommer.
And
we are your friendly neighborhood gamers.
Welcome back to the neighborhood, and thank you so much for listening. On this episode, we are going to be setting some New Year's resolutions or goals for 2025 relating to the world of gaming. Before we dive into that, though, I want to remind you that if you want to keep up with updates from the show and see some of our short-form content, follow us on social media. If you want to be part of future episodes and be part of the effing community, jump in our Discord. That is the best place to be part of what we're doing and just kind of hang out with us and have conversations throughout the week about what you're watching, what you're playing, stuff like that. And if you enjoy the show, leave a review and a 5-star rating on your podcast app of choice. And if you're watching/listening to this on YouTube, leave a comment or a like on that video. It helps a ton. With all that being said, Dylan, this was kind of your brainchild. Why don't you give us a little bit of a overview of the topic we're going to be doing today?
Sure. So, it's the beginning of the year when we're recording this. I don't know exactly when this is coming out for you, the listener, but
it'll still be January. So
yeah, it's essentially the first week of January for us. So New Year's resolutions are on our minds. On everyone's minds probably around this point. Okay, well, Aubrey's shaking her head on an audio podcast, but you know, it is what it is. A lot of people tend to make New Year's resolutions. How about that? Is that appropriate, Aubrey? Nod or shake your head. It's an audio podcast.
I was shaking my head, referring simply to myself. You know, if as a broad statement of it being on people's minds, sure. Being on our minds, no.
Okay. Well, I mean, you do have some other things taking up real estate.
Aubrey resolves to get through this pregnancy,
right?
My goal is to make it out alive with the baby.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, anyway, gaming. This is a gaming podcast. So I figured, hey, why don't we chat about some goals that we may have for ourselves as far as video games go? I didn't really have like specific categories these goals had to fit into or anything. I think the examples I gave were like, I want to play more games like all the way through, or I want to get really good at, you know, I want to give Marvel Rivals a real try and, you know, give it, 20 games or something and see if I'm really just not into it, something like that. But nothing like super, super specific. I just, what would you like to see yourself do gaming this year? That was the idea that I had. I came up with a few ideas for myself. You guys have come up with 3 or 4 ideas as well. And so I think we're just going to, kind of kick it around, see what it is that we as gamers are hoping to do this year. This is not tied to, I know we do like predictions. I know we do, bets and Fantasy Critic and blah, blah, blah. This is not tied to any of that. This is just like, hey, like there's nothing riding on this. No one's going to come to you at the end of the year and be like, you didn't do your goals. You're terrible. You have to now play Death Stranding. No one's going to do that. So,
I mean, maybe if we do check back on it at the end of the year or early next year, just to kind of see how we did and what, like if this becomes a yearly episode, see how last year's gaming goals went and then set some new ones. But yes, it's a much more kind of casual, maybe personal challenge kind of thing, if you will. It's not, we're not making like a contest out of this, this one.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's in like the gaming realm. Some people that are big readers may want to read 20 books this year or something like that, or whatever it is. A big reader probably has a higher goal than that. But the you know, our friend of the show, Caleb, probably has some like movie related goals for himself this year of like, I want to watch this series that I've never seen, or, you know, whatever.
I've attempted reading challenges in the past, and they're pretty fun. They're like, you know, tackling different genres, or a book with this as the protagonist or something like that.
Yeah.
Be a fun thing to actually see if there's anything like that for games.
Yeah. You know, like, well, and that was kind of the idea too of like, hey, there are maybe genres that we don't really touch on. Maybe one of our goals is to try out this genre that I don't normally play and enjoy, you know, or that I haven't really tried. Maybe this is the year I'm going to pick up a search and find game and play it all the way through. Probably not.
Whoa.
But maybe.
I was going to say.
I mean, it's only like a 3-4 hour commitment. I do think you could do it.
Yeah. But do I want to? That's the question.
Well, that's another question entirely. Like you sort of alluded to and mentioned, Dylan, we're going to kind of tackle this like round robin. We'll go kind of one at a time, listing off our individual goals, and I think we'll kick it off with Aubrey.
Okie dokie. My first goal, is probably my biggest goal, is I want to finish 3 AAA titles, or like 60 plus hour like gaming experiences. Because I have a tendency to do like play a lot of smaller experiences, or I'll pick like 1 to 2 games that I really latch on to. But I don't like tend to sit down, aside from the rare exception, and just like play a AAA title like front to back. So I'm not limiting myself by year or anything like that. So, you know, maybe I'll finally dive into Red Dead Redemption 2, or I don't know, other AAA titles.
RPGs.
Yeah.
You could say.
If you will.
Right. Because
I don't know if I'd put an hour count on it though. Like I think you might be more likely to hit this goal if you just say AAA.
Yeah. But like I enjoy like a big like gaming experience. Like when one clicks for me, I do really like it. It's just a matter of, I guess, being more intentional about starting some and seeking out ones that I think I'll like, rather than waiting for them to fall in my lap like I have been. So
yeah, well, and some of those bigger games like you're talking about have like you have to put in some time up front to like get them like the momentum and like get all the mechanics and for them to like fully unlock all your skill trees and your quest log and like kind of see what the loop of the game is going to be. And so if you just give it like an hour and then drop off, you don't really ever kind of get to the clicking point.
Mm-hmm. Well, and some of them take a while for the story to get rolling too. So
yeah. Yep. So do you have any in mind that you're thinking of? I know you threw Red Dead 2 out there. Do you have any? Is that one like serious, or are you just tossing it out there as a AAA?
That one's pretty serious. I do feel like it's a story I would connect with, being that it is kind of a sad story. It's a little bit of a tragedy.
Yeah.
I'm sure it counts. I'd like to give Breath of the Wild another shot. I did attempt that. So I'd like to see if I can like get to where like the gameplay loop has a real shot of like clicking with me. I own Assassin's Creed Origins and Odyssey. I've played probably 10-ish hours in Origins.
Mm-hmm.
And then the world opened up and I went, oh no. And something about just like the open world of it was like less exciting for me. I know that's when like Andrew gets excited.
I was like, that was when I was like, oh yeah, look at all this game in front of me.
Let me go. I know. And mine is like, oh no, look at all this game in front of me. Because it's like, then like there were vendors you could buy gear from, and then the talent tree opened up, and I was like, I want to know Bayek's story. I don't want to have to like think this hard about his build, which I know I don't have to, but it feels like when the option's there, I ought to. So again, I'll do a lot for a female protagonist. So maybe if I play Odyssey with
Cassandra,
is her name, then that'll help.
It's
me,
also like the
click and carry it a
Greek
bit.
setting that you'll probably vibe with.
Yeah, I do really enjoy Greek mythology. I think, though, I own Odyssey on my PlayStation 4.
Gross.
So, which is not set up on any, like on the TV in the house, but I'm sure that's like a simple setup. And also, I'm sure it's very cheap to pick up on Xbox or on PC.
Yeah.
On Steam. I was about to say, like, I've had my Steam account like up and running. Well, I mean, I've had it forever, but I've like been actively on it for what, like the past
couple months.
3 or 4 months or so. And I've seen Odyssey and Origins on sale like 4 or 5 times. I've already picked up Origins. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are the Assassin's Creed games still on Game Pass, or have they rotated off?
yes, Origins and Odyssey and Valhalla, I think, are all on Game Pass right now.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I'm thinking in terms of like AAA title is like a big experience, well thought out, well developed, like
Yeah.
thing. So
The Witcher 3.
that's gonna have to be something like I do completely secretly somehow without, any of the various apps that we're all friends on telling you what I'm doing. Because that's
Yeah.
going to have to be something I do for myself with no input from anybody who cares so much about this game. And then once I get through it, then we can like discuss.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So
Well, that's
my first goal.
Nice.
a good one. I'll go next, and kind of in that same vein, I'm going to finish Baldur's Gate 3.
Whoa.
Hey.
Whoa.
I like it.
A more attainable goal is getting to Act 3 and doing one of the 2 things you have to do in Act 3. Because that, I feel like, is where everybody falls off, is Act 3 after dealing with one of the 2 sort of bad guys right before the finale of Act 3.
I think for me, the reason I put this as a goal is because even on PC, I'm like struggling with the gameplay. I'm like, I like all the characters, I like the world, I like the setting, the lore, all that kind of stuff, the dialogue, but just
The turn
navigating
battle.
and turn-based and dice rolls and just like pretty much
D&D.
everything in the game. Yeah, it's just like
It's not clicking for you.
it's just not my bailiwick or whatever the the word is.
Yes.
And so for me, it's like I want to push through that, which like I did on PlayStation, get to where I could go into Act 2. I still had more stuff to do in Act 1. And so like I did hit a groove with it on console for a little while, but then as soon as I like kind of put it down, I never felt the urge to go back. And so on PC, I'm hoping to kind of get that momentum and get my feet. Like I have not given it enough time on PC yet to say whether or not like it'll like I'm just now kind of venturing out from the druids and heading towards like the goblins and stuff. So it's still pretty early. Like I said, what I've enjoyed as far as all the story stuff is still hitting, but like I got to that stupid burning house where like there's people trapped inside and stuff, and like you open the wrong door and you explode and whatever. And I was just like, I'm done with this game for right now, for today. And so it's just some of that kind of stuff where sometimes the like amount of choice and the amount of like potential options and things that you can do, it's like, I kind of just want you to tell me how to get these people out of this burning house so I can move on. Like I'm not trying to
give me a quest marker, please.
Yeah, or just something that is a little bit more obvious to like just, get this finished. So there's just a lot about the game that I really like and appreciate, and then there's some things that just like for my personal tastes in games don't fully like jive with me. So I want to push through, and I also want to be able to like talk about the full experience. So that's another reason that I want to like see it through.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. Yeah, that particular burning house was, in my opinion, a rough patch of the first act. I also hated that, and like you said, there are so many options. Like you can save none of the people, you can save like one of the people, or you can save like all of the people. And there are multiple ways to kind of go about it. And I think knowing that you can save both people is frustrating because it's like, how do I do this? So
Yeah. And then like, do I even really need to spend all this time on this? Maybe not. Like, I don't know. Do those people come back later and give me some massive reward down the road? I have no idea because I haven't gotten that far. But
one of them is the person who leads the mercenary company, the lady, the second in command of, like, that's Nick.
Yeah.
I forget. Like, I don't think it breaks the game if you don't save anybody, but
well, no, I mean, like, none of it breaks the game. I don't think it's like they do come back around, but they are pretty central to like Will's storyline. So depending on, how many relatively familiar faces you want during Will's storyline is kind of all that decision really is. One guy, if you save him, he's like, oh, my wife hid the dowry somewhere. And Astarion's like, ooh, we should go find and steal their money. And finding and stealing their money is annoyingly involved. So, like, I wouldn't put too much stock or energy into that particular chunk of the game. But
I have also with this character been enjoying, like, I made a rogue because I've been enjoying that in D&D. And whereas, like, the first time around, I made a fighter and was kind of like, sort of just playing it how I play every video game where it's like mostly the good choice, mostly like what I would do. But now I'm trying to kind of more like embody the rogue. And so I'm being a little bit more like short and harsh with people and a little bit more selfish. And like I'm getting a lot of thumbs up from Lysel and Astarion
nice
about the choices I'm making. So it has been fun to kind of like lean into that character rather than just kind of like role play myself.
Yeah.
So I have been enjoying that on this playthrough. So that's been fun. But yeah, I think I'm gonna jump back into it once I wrap up Banishers. So, but that's why it's like a goal for the year. It's like I feel I can see myself chipping away at this game.
Yeah. I'm just super impressed by anybody who finishes that game not a caster. Like, because a druid is so versatile both in and out of combat. Like, I feel like I can interact with the environment way more as a druid or even as a cleric with like the full casting. That when I tried to play a martial class, I was like, ugh. I can't do anything. Like, I can't get over there. I can't interact with this thing or whatever. And especially because you don't get a druid until you can get Halsin or Jaheira in your party. That it's like, there's quite a bit in Act 1 and Act 2 that I'm like, no, I want to be able to like Misty Step over there or, turn into a small creature or whatever. So like kudos for sticking it out as a martial class because.
Well, I haven't stuck it out yet.
Yeah. Well, and I think Misty Step comes with one of the rogue subclasses, maybe. Or if you're just like an elf, specific types of elves.
Eventually. Yeah. And you can get items and yeah. I mean, there's plenty of variety and everything. I'm just really impatient, so I'll brute force it with playing as a multi-class druid cleric.
So Dylan, what's your first goal or resolution?
So one of my goals is to try to play at least some of these damn PlayStation first party games that I own. Like, I just always
I feel like you should name the ones that you're thinking of.
So of like the first party games that I played, obviously Bloodborne. That was
it's Bloodborne and Spider-Man, right?
Yeah, Bloodborne and Spider-Man 1 were the two that I have played. I have played some of God of War twice and have fallen off of it both times. I feel like I need to get slightly further into God of War. Like I've gotten to the part where it kind of opens up one time.
Yeah.
And I just got distracted or something. So I'd like to go through God of War 2018. I'd like to go through The Last of Us Part 1 or whatever.
Just The Last of Us.
Well, I think I've got like the remaster or something.
Wait, you have probably the remaster, which was the PS4 remaster of the PlayStation game, The Last of Us. PlayStation 3
because
game,
it came
The
out
Last
on
of Us.
and I'd like to play Horizon as well. I'd like to
Yeah.
I think
get
you'd
those
like
three.
Horizon.
And probably Days Gone. Like, if I make it through those three, Days Gone is on the list. I think it would be a fun one. I enjoyed the little bit of it that I played, but I was just playing it to like capture gameplay one time when Andrew talked about it,
Right.
not
Mhm.
actually like going super, super in depth to it. But it's one of those things where it's like, I've got a PlayStation 4, and I have these like first party titles that are critically lauded that I just haven't.
Except for Days Gone.
Well, yeah, that's fair.
Days Gone.
Lauded
yeah.
by me.
Right. And so it's like I've got these. I've also got like the Uncharted collection and like maybe a couple of other like first party titles that I'm blanking on or forgetting. And it's like, yeah, you know, I should like I want to get in and actually like play through these and experience them, you know. Even if that means like I'm just going through it on like story mode or easy mode or something, like I'd like to try to like get through those games and just experience them, be able to talk about them, and also, you know, like it is especially Horizon, like it looks like a game I would
I was gonna say,
really
that one's
enjoy.
right up your alley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
For sure.
The setting and the like mech monster hunts. It's
Yeah.
like,
and you know, like I've had a PlayStation for years at this point. I think the first year I had a PlayStation, I only played Bloodborne.
yeah.
I think I got the PlayStation on spring break, and then basically like Bloodborne did not leave that console until that following year. So I'd like to experience more of PlayStation's catalog.
Yeah, I think Horizon you'll really like, and then I think God of War once you get
Oh,
like once the combat starts to open up, I think you'll have a lot more fun with that.
the other one is Ghost of
Tsushima.
Yeah, I have that one as well.
Yeah.
That's a good
And
one.
I do think I would really enjoy that. So
Ghost of Tsushima and Horizon are both pretty big like open world games, so
yeah.
nice. Yeah. I think that's a good
That's
it's a good goal.
Yeah. So I'd like to play at least a couple of them, you know, 2 or 3. So
Nice. Aubrey, what's your next one?
My next one is try, and I put parentheses about 20-ish hours. A game genre I've never played before.
You have a genre in mind, or are you looking for you open to suggestions?
I mean, you guys talk so much about Souls-likes, and I don't think I've like given one of those a legit shot. I'm intrigued by the setting of a lot of these. I'm not drawn in by how buried plot and or lore can seem to be, but I also know that I've never actually sat down and tried to play one of these games, so maybe I'll find the delivery method of a story interesting. Of the Souls-likes, Elden Ring is probably at the top of my list in terms of things I would attempt to try, probably. I've played first-person shooters in the past. I haven't played a modern one.
You played Doom, didn't you?
Well, yeah, I played Doom 2016.
yeah, I guess that was going to be my question. Are you thinking of playing like a multiplayer first person shooter or just like a first person shooter campaign?
Really don't want to do multiplayer.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think you would enjoy.
I don't think I would enjoy. So yeah, I mean, mostly Souls-like is what I'm looking at. I'm not trying to like limit myself, and maybe I'll try a bunch of different genres. I've done like little bits of racing games here and there. Like I've dabbled in / tried most like broad strokes of genres, but to like actually sit down and try and be like, okay, what about this like clicks with people? What might they really enjoy? Like really just try some serious perspective taking, I guess, on it. So leaning towards a Souls, most likely Elden Ring, but we'll see.
Well, Elden Ring is probably the best place to start, and you can either take your Witcher approach where you just play it in complete secrecy without, any outside opinions. But if you want like a much easier ramp up into the genre, you're very fortunate to have a lot of people that you know immediately, but also in like our Discord community that are definitely very knowledgeable and would also probably just like hop in. And because Elden Ring still got kind of, well, I mean, if you got it on PC, we could do the mod that does like seamless co-op, but it still has like the kind of wonky multiplayer, but it streamlined just a ton of the stuff that like the older games were clunkier about. And so if you wanted help or whatever, like it's definitely the best option.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about me, and it's, I think, a trait I share with Delaney, where there's some part of me when somebody like weighs in on like build or like weapon choices or all that kind of stuff, like my eyes glaze over. Like there's some part of me that will click and will look and will be like, yeah, I like this spec and it seems to be kind of working for me, so I'm just gonna hardline into that. And I see it with like my WoW character too. Like I'd go to run a dungeon at like max level and they'd be like, oh, Warlock, drop this buff. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. Drop what buff? What do you mean? And they're like, well, you didn't take this. You're not a whatever like Warlock. I'm like, no, I'm a whatever the frick I want Warlock. Like I'm optimizing nothing. So I could very much see me just like pulling together the most bizarre ass build and just brute forcing my way through stuff, which I mean feels allowed based on what I've seen from like Elden Ring. So
there's some of the hardest content is optional.
Mm-hmm.
So that's good. It is in most Souls-likes, it is good to have like an understanding of kind of the stats you're putting points into and like kind of leaning into like whether you want to do magic, whether you want to do like faster weapons or whether you want to do big heavy weapons, because you're only going to get so many points by the end of the game. Like you can grind, but it only gets you so far. And so like, and they let you respec in Elden Ring. That's another thing they did. They made respecing a lot easier once you get to a certain point in the game. So it's not that big of a deal, but like just kind of having an idea of what you might want to do going into it and then kind of following that helps, because then you're putting the most power into that thing rather than like, oh, I want to try all these other things. And then you have a bunch of weak stats across the board. So there is some like thought that goes into it. But in
a game like that, and I'm thinking honestly, the last time I played a game sort of even remotely along those lines was probably Fable 3. And so that's kind of where my brain is going in terms of like my build in Fable 3 or my build with types of games like that is I don't really dodge. I don't really parry. So it would be a lot of points in health and defense.
Yeah.
And then just big heavy weapon.
Unga bunga.
Mm-hmm.
Basically.
Yep.
is how I see this playing out, left to my own devices. So
well, and what like usually the best method is like you pick up a weapon and you're like, oh, this looks kind of cool. What are the stat requirements? And then you kind of like level to meet those requirements. And if you like that weapon, then you kind of just like keep leveling it to increase the power. So like it is kind of a natural thing the game offers you. But in Elden Ring, there's so many weapons and stuff that you can be like, oh, well, now I want to respec and try this thing or do this. So strength. That's how I played through Dark Souls 3 last year, and we did Souls Month, and I had a ton of fun with it. So it's definitely nothing wrong with that.
Feels like how I would play it.
Yeah, and Elden Ring, like Andrew said, is the one that's the most forgiving too with it, because I think in most of the other ones you can kind of soft lock yourself if you level up the wrong weapons. Versus Elden Ring, I think you can pretty much buy all of the upgrade materials except the like final upgrade materials.
Yeah.
So,
and if you're exploring, you should get a few of those. And because of the open world nature, you can like leave a boss, go do some other stuff, come back and try it after you've leveled up some, which like in more linear Souls games, you kind of just have to keep trying till you beat it. And then they put like checkpoints in at bosses now where like a lot of in the old games, you die, you be back at the bonfire, you have to run back to the boss. This one, they have like a checkpoint system where you can just kind of respawn right by the boss door. So they've just put a bunch of quality of life stuff that makes the new player experience a lot smoother. And then if you find you vibe with it, you can go back and kind of try some of the other ones or try some of the non-FromSoft games. But
yeah,
So
like
yeah,
Lies of P.
I know. I like the aesthetic of Lies of P a lot, but
yeah.
And you
Yeah.
get to have conversations about your P organ.
There's so many bizarre things in that game.
on how you define it. But also like pancreas, pituitary gland. But yeah, so it'll either be Elden Ring or I'll, I don't know, give Alien Isolation a shot. Who knows?
All right.
Very,
well.
very different games, very different genres.
Horror, just well,
Yeah.
in terms of like story genre too. Maybe I play games with happy endings. maybe I'll play games that aren't, sad and vaguely about depression.
Or just outright about depression and
Also
death.
that.
All right. Well, my next one is pretty quick, and it's definitely a very specific to me and my backlog goal. I'm going to finish Solstice. It's like a AA action berserk, like heavily berserk inspired game that I've had on my Xbox. I haven't uninstalled it ever since I downloaded it and purchased it on sale or whatever. And I've sat down for a couple weekends here or there, and I've probably gotten, I don't know, pretty far into between 5 to 10 hours into it probably. But just I keep getting pulled away, and I always look at it and I'm like, now I'm at the point where it's yeah, I'd kind of have to probably restart that, because the combat does a lot of stuff with kind of the simplest way to put it is you have a blue shield and a red shield, and so you have to kind of swap between those abilities, and so there's a lot of ability swapping for different enemies. It's a lot of the fights are kind of like puzzles.
Yeah.
You're having to swap on the fly, and so jumping into the combat scenarios I'm in now in that game would be what is this? What am I doing? And I also don't really remember much of the story for what it is.
Mhm.
So every time I look at it, I'm like, yeah, I'll get to that. But I know it's going to be a restart, even though I don't think it's that long of a game.
Yeah.
So I finally want to finish it and remove it from my installed games.
Take it out of the brain.
Just go ahead and finish it. I don't want it looking at me every time I go through my Xbox
Yeah.
library. It's time to finish it. So that is my next goal.
Nice.
That's a good goal. I like it.
Dylan, how about you?
Mine is kind of a similar vein to yours, where there are several games in my backlog that I want to finish this year. One of those is Alan Wake 2. So I picked it up last year on sale and was playing it when life and school and stuff got crazy, and I didn't have the focus to actually pay attention to the story, so I fell off of it. And now that things have slowed down again, I am hoping to be able to get back in and do that. But there are other games too that I've just never I've picked up, I've played, and that I want to finish. Dishonored 2 is one of them.
Yeah.
Prey. I'd like to drilling
The Arcane library.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'd like to play pretty much Arcane's games and Remedy's games. I'd like to play Quantum Break, and I think it's just Quantum Break that I haven't played. That's Remedy.
Max Payne.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's some old ones, but I'm thinking more the Remedy, Alan Wake, Control, Quantum Break, Remedy verse sort of thing. So
yeah, I think they're supposed to be remaking Max Payne, so it's at this point, just wait for that.
yeah,
What a franchise that was.
yeah, for sure. But yeah, there's a lot of games that I have picked up over the years that Andrew has access to my Steam library. We're doing the family share thing, so he's well aware of how big my Steam library is, and I have not played a majority of those games ever.
What?
So there's just a lot where it's like, yeah, you know what? Like, I've got a bunch of games I need to play, especially some of the ones that are like big and generally well regarded, and that I have enjoyed what I've played of them, but have then like ADHD'd away from them. It's kind of like, yeah, no, I'd like to sit down and actually play those games and finish them, or get to the point where I'm like, I am done with this game. I'm not coming back to it, you know?
Yeah.
So
put it to bed.
Yeah. Like one or the other. I don't want to just fall off randomly because life happens, you know? So,
yeah.
So that's cool. That's my next goal, is finish some of these ones that I keep telling myself I want to finish. So
nice. Aubrey, kicking it back to you.
My next goal is to play a 120-point game in Wingspan.
All right.
And go.
Get it.
So, for those who may not know, Wingspan is a board game that also has a fairly expansive digital collection. I've been playing it a lot this week on iOS, on my phone. I've also been playing it somewhat, like a couple rounds at a time, on my computer. I have not bought any of the expansions for the digital versions that I own. I do think I'm going to have to if I want to meet this goal of breaking 120, because the European expansion adds a lot of like really interesting birds with interesting points that can like really ratchet up your score. I just this night set my own personal record of 107 points in a game. I tend, if it's a game that doesn't go awesome for me, I'm usually in like the 80 range. I average about 90, and then like breaking 100 has been like a serious goal. And it does depend a lot on like what your initial like cards you start with and everything. But I've been playing around this week with like different mechanics and stuff and different methods of getting points than I typically do. So 120 is pretty ambitious. I did just join the Wingspan subreddit and saw someone post a game that they did where they got 138 points. So
wow,
it's possible.
It is achievable.
Yeah.
It can be done, which was mostly just why I joined the subreddit, because I like people have to be posting like their high point games in there, and like 138 is remarkable, but it can be done. So my goal this year is to play a 120 point game.
Nice.
Well, there you go. Admirable. And if you, the listener, didn't know what Wingspan was before she started talking about it, shame on you. That means you didn't listen to our neighborhood watch.
Play birds, get points.
Yep.
Cool.
Or play fish, get points.
Or play dragon, get points. You need to pick up Wormspan. Here it has slightly different mechanics.
My next goal is to play 5 indie games. So kind of up Aubrey's alley. I was thinking about it like last year.
Like
I didn't
the
really
inverse of each other.
Yeah.
I mean, you like AA titles mostly, but
I didn't have a lot of indie games come to mind when I was making my Game of the Year list. And so I didn't play Animal Well, which is like one of the biggest ones. I didn't play 5000 X Resist, which I'm pretty sure was a indie game. And so I'm not necessarily saying that I want to play like 5 2025 indie games,
right,
but I do want them to be like new to me. Cause like last year I played The Last Faith some more, but I had already like played that. And so I started 9 Souls at the very end, and I'm enjoying that. But I want to make a little bit more of an effort this year to like check out the indie scene, either the ones I've missed or some of the new ones that might come out this year. Cause I mean, there have been a ton of indie games and like in genres that I enjoy that have come out over the last year or so, and I just haven't really jumped on them. So
prioritized them. Yeah, that happens.
So that is my next goal, is just to check out 5 indie games, maybe find my next Katana Zero or something, or maybe just be like, yep, that one wasn't for me.
Yeah. Now, when you say indie game, are you referring to it in the general broad sense of like an independently published game, or because it kind of sounds like in your mind you've got sort of the 2D side scroller?
I mean, that's kind of what I gravitate towards, but no, like any kind of indie, like, you know, if Cult of the Lamb, you know, that I would it doesn't have to be like a Metroidvania or an action game. It's just those are the ones that I tend to like be drawn to. But yeah, kind of anything in that like indie title. I am thinking independent, like smaller studio, you know. I'm not counting Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah.
I'm trying to like stick with the spirit of the indie title.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So
a smaller experience, but
yeah.
Silksong, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Silksong. Perfect. Great choice. You should totally draft it.
I did. Not in our draft, but in the one that I'm in with the list off in the list off Discord. I did auto draft because they drafted last night while we were playing D&D. And I ended up with Silksong and Death Stranding 2.
Oof. Why?
So,
why were those even on your list?
Ooh.
Well, I'd have them on like a watch list, like just in general, but I didn't realize that they were as high as they were. So they ended up getting picked up. I didn't do a lot of like organization. I did win that league last year though.
Yeah.
Pretty handedly. So like,
it's nice that you won a league
challenge. This is not the first league I've won. Thank you very much. It is for you though.
You know, first time for everything. You know, we'll see. I don't think it'll last.
Anyways, back to you, Dylan. Yeah, that was mine.
Yeah.
Back to you, Dylan.
Yeah. My next one is not really something that like I've had very many issues with. Like I'm not doing it for like, oh, I need to stop doing this sort of reasons, but just I want to be more conscious of and aware of, I guess, just any sort of microtransactional things that I'm doing game-wise. Like, on the one hand, I don't want to purchase, like, battle passes and stuff that I'm not going to finish.
Yeah.
So, for example, like, Destiny 2, I currently have the battle pass. I have not been playing a ton of Destiny 2 recently. There's still, like, 2 months of this current season or 3 months of this current season. So like I will probably end up getting what I need to out of it, but it's also like one of those things where it's just kind of like, yeah, you know, when the new expansion comes out for Destiny 2, I don't know that I'm picking up the one that comes with the battle passes.
Right. Especially with battle passes when you can like buy them at the end of the season and like retroactively pick up all the rewards.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah. So there's a little bit of it where it's kind of my gaming habits where I shift between games at a moment's notice. I want to be more aware of like, hey, maybe I'll pick this up at the end. I don't need to pick it up before I'm sure I'm gonna like get my money's worth from it, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
But I also do. Craig's having issues. I do also want to. Another one was Magic the Gathering. Like there was a battle pass or two in there, or not a season pass or two in there that I picked up and just did not play enough of. So at the same time, I also want to not reward, but like tip the hat to games and studios that I am playing a lot of, you know? So an example of that would be like Diablo 4. There were a couple of times last year where I played enough Diablo 4 that I completed the battle pass. And so I was like, you know what? I've, played 20 hours of this season. Let me kick you guys $10 or whatever it is, $5. So just some of that. Same with like expansions. It's easy to pick up some of the bigger like Ubisoft games, especially. It's those season passes are constantly on sale. And so it's like, I only want to pick up stuff that I am going to play, I guess. Kind of ties, I guess, to my previous goal where it's like, hey, I want to complete stuff that I already own.
Right. Don't
So
add to the pile.
Yeah.
Valid.
Yeah, don't buy a season pass for Call of. Well, I'm against Call of Duty season passes in general, but don't pick up something that I'm then gonna have to play 40 hours of to get my money's worth. If I'm gonna potentially bounce off of it, and also I could be completing a game that I already own. So, and some of that too is because I'd like to see more of kind of like what Marvel Rivals is doing, where it's just you can pick up the battle pass and complete it whenever. So
doesn't expire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
same with Helldivers.
Mm-hmm. So there's, a part of it where it's like, if I'm being more conscious of picking up a random battle pass, then maybe more studios would be like, yeah, let's maybe move to that model. I'm sure there's a reason why most of them haven't, but I feel like
voting with your wallet a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. And thankfully, Monster Hunter does not have a battle pass. So, haha.
Look at me go.
Yeah, I could just buy that game when it comes out and not have to worry about a battle pass for February through December. So,
what a novel
release
concept.
A big expansion.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. As we are nearing the hour mark for this episode, Aubrey, do you have any more?
Yeah. My last one's pretty simple, straightforward. I have a random goal to just 100% a game.
Nice. Donut County.
I don't know.
Donut Country? Donut County.
County.
Easy.
I technically 100%ed Andromeda.
That's crazy.
But
wow, there are so many multiplayer achievements in that.
Well, I 100% of this story, I will say. And I did start playing the multiplayer. And there were I did party up with the same 4 people over and over for the the multiplayer.
It's because there were only 3 other people playing
Correct.
Mass Effect Andromeda multiplayer.
That is exactly why. So, I mean, if I'd stuck with it, we could have become friends. But they knew what they were doing. And I was like, this is nothing like my writer. But yeah, and I've 100%ed at least one of the Tomb Raider games. Maybe the second and the third. And according to Spiritfarer, I haven't gotten all the achievements on Spiritfarer, so I don't think it can count as 100%. But I've 100%ed the story type thing. So
yeah, I guess that's the question.
Yeah, I don't know if
it's what do you mean by 100%?
Full achievement hunter, or maybe I will. Maybe I'll do that in Spiritfarer or something I'm very familiar with, and see what I can do. But yeah, I like to suck the marrow out of a game.
Dredge is very doable. Just as a toss that one out there. I did that one.
Sometimes the getting the platinum trophy, if you will, is actually easier than 100%ing the game. Going back to Elden Ring, it's you can get the platinum without having to collect every item and all that kind of stuff. But if you want to 100% get everything, it's way more involved.
Yeah.
I don't know if the gameplay is necessarily up your alley, but Spider-Man also very doable. Platinum. I've platinumed all of. I don't think I've platinumed Miles Morales because you have to do a New Game Plus run, but I did 1 and 2, and they're both. It's if you enjoy that game, you kind of just flow right into the platinum. It's a checklist of stuff that's not tedious to do. So
yeah. I don't have a game in mind, so we'll see how. It's
starting
pretty half-baked goal.
Starting at the very, very beginning, ground level.
Correct. Yes. Andrew?
Well, for my last, I kind of have 2, but they are similar, so I'll just go through it all at once here. I want to play one of the remasters of a classic game from the past that I missed. So recently, the 2 that I'm thinking of when I say this, recently we got the Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver remasters. Yeah. Those seem very much up my alley. So I want to check those out. Never played those as a kid. And then with the announcement of Okami 2, they had the first Okami like remaster on sale on Steam, and I think on like all the consoles too for like $5. So I went ahead and picked that up on Steam just because it was so cheap. And so those are kind of the two games I have in my head of like going back to games that people talk about from their childhood that like I missed. The other one is off and on last year. I kind of had the urge to do this, but never pulled the trigger. I want to go back and replay Ocarina of Time.
Oh.
Probably through the Switch, like N64 thing, be the easiest way to do it. I'm sure there's like emulators that I could find if I wanted to.
Yeah.
But basically that game I played like really fragmented and like segmented because I played through it with like Caleb and his brother Alex when we were growing up, and so I don't really have like a full picture of that game from start to finish. So I'd like to go back and like go through the whole thing, see how it holds up, kind of see it from start to finish. I did put in parentheses, unless they announce a remake. If there's an Ocarina of Time remake, I'll just wait for that.
Yep,
because
fair.
Yeah,
it would be really cool if we got a remake of that game and like the Breath of the Wild engine, or even just just bring up the visuals a little bit.
Yeah, I was gonna say I can lend you my 3DS or 2DS. It's got Ocarina on it, so.
And I feel like there's a non-zero chance Joe and I may own it on GameCube.
Yeah. Well, is it on
do the
Switch? Like in the N64?
Yeah, it's on the N64 thing. So that's probably how I'll do it. I do think the 3DS version was like a bit of a remaster, and the Switch version is just like a port of the N64 one. So, but I'll probably just do the backwards compatible one, and then, like I said, unless they announce some sort of a remake or remaster, then I'll be like, yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah.
I'll just wait for it to be optimized, actually.
Yeah, exactly.
That feels like a nice way to experience that.
Better option here.
Watch them announce that and still never mention Wind Waker.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Or Twilight Princess.
Dylan, do you have any more to bring this topic to a close?
Yeah. I would like to try to play through a Pokemon game.
I thought about that. I almost put that as one of my goals, but then I was like, I can't bring myself to do it yet.
Yeah, not a mystery dungeon game. I want to be very clear. A Pokemon game.
Yeah. Whatever, hater.
Because I own I've got Fire Red on my Game Boy Advance. I've got Sun or Moon on my 2DS. I've got Sword on my Switch. And then
what are you doing?
And then there's also Pokemon Infinite Fusion that exists on the internet. That
my question is, why? Like, what is it about Pokemon that makes you want to like keep trying?
I would
like, why not just say this isn't for me and move on?
So number one, there are parts of like at least Infinite Fusion that interest me. There's another part of it where I don't actually think a Pokemon game would take that long to play if I just played it, like, because when I'm talking about playing through a Pokemon game, I feel like I need to approach it in a different way than I have approached Pokemon in the past, because filling out the Pokédex is a part of that appeals to me, but I feel like that's where I always fall off because of the random encounters and because of just the tedious turn-based battling and that sort of thing. And so I think that I need to stop focusing so much on some of that and just play it like a child would have played it, and just use Charizard and just have an extremely overpowered Charizard that destroys everything, even the Pokemon that it's weak to, because it's like 40 levels above whatever they are,
Correct.
And so I feel like I would enjoy. I feel like I've gotten not in the weeds, but like I've tried to think too much about Pokemon in the past, where it's like, no, I need to like fill out this weakness in my team or whatever. And I feel like I just need to use the Pokemon I think are cool.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, and also like, You did get in the weeds because you go like zone by zone. So every time you enter a new zone, you just pick up one of that type.
Yeah.
And then like run with it.
Yeah. Well, because that's the other thing is like, I feel like I could do a Nuzlocke sort of like, I feel like there's ways I can make Pokemon more appealing and interesting to me. And I would like to be able to say that I have at least completed. And by that, I mean, like, gotten to whatever the final 4 equivalent is, not doing the, like, 170 hours after that where you're finding some, like, legendary god or whatever.
I mean, it's usually all, like, tied up together, but yeah.
So I'd like to do one of those. I don't know that this is the one that I feel like is least likely to happen because I feel like I'll either start it and be like, yep, no, Pokemon's not for me. Or I'll just never start it. But it's one that I would like to try again, you know? Especially because I really enjoyed Monster Hunter Stories, which is essentially just Pokemon with Monster Hunter stuff.
You've played every Pokemon ripoff there is. You just won't play Pokemon.
Exactly. Like, I enjoyed Pal World when I played it. You know? So it's just like, and I haven't, like, the one I've tried to play the most is Pokemon Fire Red on my Game Boy Advance, which I feel like people that have nostalgia for Pokemon probably really enjoy it because it's a remake of, or it's the Game Boy Advance version of like one of the original games.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I feel like me personally, with no nostalgia, I need to give a harder try to like Pokemon Sword or like Pokemon Sun and Moon, because those are going to be way more. Not that Pokemon is a franchise known for evolution and iterating and improving drastically, but I feel like there are things that they have done and added to the more recent games that probably make it a better user experience than like Fire Red was.
Yeah. Well, moving around in kind of a 3D space in the overworld is pretty huge. Like on the one hand, I didn't love in the Sword and Shield when it had the like, oh yeah, and like supersize your Pokemon, like whatever they called it, where they don't get all big and kaiju like. Yeah. And I was always like, God, this is so corny. But you love kaiju.
Yes.
So maybe that's something that'll like really like, you're like, yeah, no, my Charizard's Godzilla. Like,
exactly.
Maybe that'll click for you.
Yeah.
Because I was about to be like, honestly, I should let you borrow my copy, which is Braden's old copy of Pearl, because that's kind of the midway point between some of the weirder, more modern stuff they started doing while still being like a nice optimized version of like Fire Red. But then you liked Arceus and the running around, and again, you like kaiju, so maybe you'll like the Super Size Me button that you eventually get.
Well, and I feel like if I was gonna play like one of the older games, I would play the like Switch remakes. Like I would either play Let's Go Pikachu, which is the remake of like the originals, or Shining Diamond and Brilliant Pearl, or whatever
Brilliant Pearl or something like that. Yeah,
that are the remakes of like those, the whatever that is, Gen 2, Gen 3.
Era.
Yeah. So just to experience it. And like I said, there's also I watched a playthrough of Pokemon Infinite Fusion, and that just seems like a really cool idea to me, where it's,
I have no idea what that is.
It's like a mod of Pokemon on PC, and the main premise of it, I think it's based on like Gen 1 or 2, but it's based on the premise of like every Pokemon that you have can be fused with another Pokemon, so you can fuse like your Pikachu and a Charizard together and create just an abomination of a bigger abomination of nature. So that's that part of it. I think would just be hilarious.
Like Pokemon so bad.
I know. I've tried.
Poke Charizard.
You're like, I don't like Indonesian food, but I'll go to an Indonesian fusion restaurant.
Yeah.
It's like, what? What mixing it with Mexican food makes it better?
I don't know. It's just my issue with Pokemon is that it takes like 10 hours for them to stop tutorializing everything, and I've never given it more than that. So
you exaggerate.
I don't know.
But I don't disagree.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I tried playing a little bit more Sword recently, and it was still like, hey, let's come over here and do this thing. Let me teach you how to do this thing that you've already been doing, because you're not an idiot. You're not a dumb child.
Well, and again, that's what I like about the older ones is there's a little less hand holding.
I feel like they need an adult mode where it's just like, can I skip? Like, do you want me to tell you about this? No, I'm good.
I've played a video game before.
Yeah. Like, keep the hand holding in for, like Andrew's daughter, if she wants to play a Pokemon game. Like, that'd be great for her. They would teach her how to do it. But then, hey, you've been playing, video games for like 25 years. Maybe just give it a shot. This isn't that complicated. Or explain what an EV is, because I still don't understand those.
Yeah,
not the Pokemon.
I have no context for that.
It's
I know what
It's
EV
like
is.
it's the fox that can evolve.
No, it's like their stats. You know how Dark Souls has like the letter rankings on like the different things and the scaling that they never explain. It's essentially that kind of stuff that is never explained in Pokemon. That doesn't matter. But it's like, that would be a tutorial I would pay attention to, because I have no idea. That's not something I can just intuit. So
yeah, no, and it literally does not matter. The important thing about Pokemon is forging a bond with them.
And that's why I feel like I could get into a Nuzlocke run, but
don't know what that means. You have all of this meta information about Pokemon that I don't have, and I've played like triple the amount of Pokemon games you have.
So the Nuzlocke run is you can only catch the first Pokemon you encounter on each route, and then if it gets knocked out, it dies, and you have to like release it or put like you can't use it anymore. And so you're trying to like make it through the game. And it forces you to like kind of forge those bonds with those Pokemon, because you're not just catching a billion Pokemon. It's like, no, you get like 1 or 2 on this route, and that's it. And like, you can set your own rules. The general agreed upon rule is like the first one you encounter on each route is the one that you can catch. And so it's like, oh, you got a Pidgeotto? Good job. Now you have to use that and try to get through the game with it. So
I mean, that is kind of how I play a lot of the time. I don't catch a ton of Pokemon when I play.
So anyway, my goal is to maybe
I'm supportive.
To give Pokemon another shot. And if I make it through, maybe we'll get Emily on the show to talk about Pokemon or something. I don't know. So
I almost made a maybe that's the game 100% joke. No.
I can't.
No.
I can't. I doubt I will complete this goal. I'm definitely not 100%ing this game.
Well, I almost like jokingly committed myself to 100%ing Pokemon. I was like, no.
Yeah, set attainable goals.
Yeah, especially like the more recent ones where there are so many like Pokemon in it. Like you could maybe do 151. Now some of them have so many. It's just like, oof, no.
Yeah. Ugh. And then like the trading comes into play. No. There's
yeah. Who
Pokemon
bought Shield? Everyone bought Sword. What are we talking about here?
The only people who bought Shield were the people who also bought Sword.
Yeah, both. They have both copies.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
good goal. I like it.
Yep.
that is our New Year's resolutions / goals for 2025. Pretty good list here. We'll see how we do. I'm skeptical about a few probably from each of our lists. So
yeah,
we'll
fair.
See how it goes. Well, let's go ahead and roll into our closing game for this episode. All right, so I have prepared a game of 100 questions, which I know Aubrey likes, and it's very low effort for me to make, so it's kind of a win-win. The idea is it is basically the rules of 20 questions where you will ask me yes or no questions. I will answer, and you will try to guess the game based on those questions, except instead of 20 questions in one game, it's 100 questions and it's 5 games. After you get a game, after you guess a game, the questions reset. Obviously, like the questions don't apply to all games. But
so we can go over 20, under 20, that sort of thing.
Well, yeah, and you can if you do well, you have like bonus questions. If you do poorly, then it starts to get a little harder. But what I meant by like questions don't reset is like, obviously, if you ask, is there a female protagonist, and the answer is yes for the first game, it's not necessarily going to be yes for the second game. So like those will reset.
Yeah.
So
gotcha.
I tried to pick tougher games
Okay.
than I did when we did this with John, because you guys finished with like 50 questions to spare.
I was so proud of us.
Yeah, you did really well. I underestimated you both. So for this one, I tried to pick a little bit tougher games without, picking like
A Link to the Past.
Well, just like some Game Boy Advance game that like only I played growing up or something like that. Like I didn't go that hard, but
yeah. Is
with
the
that
first
being
game
said-
Sonic Adventures 2?
Nope. Is that your
Damn.
first question?
No.
All right. So I have a counter up and start with game number 1.
Cool.
Well, John and I started a tradition. You have to ask the first question. Is it The Witcher 3?
It is not The Witcher 3.
Okay.
Damn. Is it part of the Xbox One, PlayStation 4 generation? Whatever that I don't know.
Yes.
Like
And by that,
Xbox
I mean-
One and PlayStation 4.
Yeah. By that, I mean it came, Xbox One, PlayStation 4, Switch, I guess. Switch is the weird odd one out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's part of that generation.
Okay.
Is it set on our Earth? Like in
Set on our Earth.
yeah, like in rules of reality apply, not like heavy fantasy or sci-fi.
No, I wouldn't say it's set on our Earth.
Okay.
Interesting. Is it a superhero game?
No.
Is it single player?
Yes. That's
It-
5.
Is it console exclusive?
Yes.
Is it third person?
Yes.
Is it PlayStation exclusive?
No.
Is it a part of a franchise?
Yes.
Is it Gears of War 4?
No. That's
Damn
10. Just swinging.
You just went for it.
Could have asked, is it a shooter? Use a chainsaw gun?
Is it like is combat like the primary way you interact with the game? Like is it a competitive game? Not like with other people, but like is violence the focus of the gameplay?
Yes, combat is a integral part of this game.
I guess is it like an action RPG type situation, not like a platformer?
Is it an
That's not a
Xbox
yes or no
exclusive?
question.
It's true.
No, it is not an Xbox exclusive.
Switch
Yeah.
or PC?
Is it Bayonetta?
No, it is not
Good guess.
Bayonetta.
Thanks.
Is it a Switch exclusive?
You already asked if it was console exclusive. Are you
Right.
just verifying? Yes, it's a Switch
Okay.
exclusive. I'm not going to count PC
Okay.
just for future reference.
Cool. Thank you. Not Our Earth. I mean, it could be like Breath of the Wild or something. Could be Mario, though.
Yeah. It's not Bayonetta. I don't know that I know any other Switch exclusives that aren't Bayonetta that have a female protagonist.
Oh, it does have a female protagonist?
It doesn't.
We asked that question? Oh.
We didn't.
Okay.
And I'm debating
No.
asking that question.
Oh,
Because if I
okay.
ask the question and it's like, yeah, it's got a female protagonist, I'm like, well, I'm still up a creek because I don't know any other Switch exclusives that have like where you play, so it feels like
Princess Peach Showtime.
But I feel like combat is not the primary way you interact with Princess Peach Showtime, but kind of the new Zelda game. Is it set in the Zelda? Is it a Legend of Zelda game?
No, that's 15.
Is the art style more realistic than cartoony?
No.
Okay. So it is more of like a cartoony styled, like a Mario type of situation, not like I would consider like realistic, like Breath of the Wild-ish, just to clarify. Like the characters have normal proportions. That's the question that I was going for.
That's not the question you asked, though.
I know.
I mean, I would say that yes, the characters have normal proportions in this game. I'm going to up your counter for that.
Gross.
But it's more cartoony than realistic, but they have normal proportions. Remember, your combat question was a little bit weird and vague, so I wouldn't get too hung up on
platforming versus.
Yeah.
Is it a Mario game?
No. I did not think this would be the one you guys would be struggling with, so curious to see how this is going to go.
Switch exclusive, not set on our Earth.
Yeah. I also assumed that Switch exclusive meant Nintendo exclusive, even though I know that that's not 100% accurate.
Cartoony, but regular proportions.
Is it a Nintendo first-party title?
No.
Interesting. Okay. So, what is not a Nintendo first-party title? That is a Switch
Pokemon
exclusive
franchise.
That is technically not Nintendo. Maybe? No, it is Nintendo. Because why else would they be suing Palworld?
Nintendo has like an
exclusivity.
An exclusivity like agreement with Game Freak, but they're not a first party studio.
Doesn't make it.
Nintendo doesn't own Pokemon.
So they're just suing Palworld on Pokemon's behalf?
Wow. Is it a Pokemon game?
Yes. 20.
I mean, do we just start guessing Pokemon games at this point?
I mean, at this point, yeah. I'd start with Legends.
That lawsuit is like an interesting question. Like, if I would guess because Nintendo makes money, all the money, they must have like a license to the Pokemon game franchise, but
they don't
Game
make
Freak is
games. Yeah,
not their studio. I don't think.
Is it Pokemon Legends Arceus?
No. Yeah, Game Freak is not owned by Nintendo, but the two companies are joint owners of the Pokemon Company. That's
okay.
Okay.
That's interesting.
That is interesting.
It's a mess. That whole relationship is kind of a mess.
Okay, so not Legends. Is it?
It came out on the Switch, so it would have to be Sword and Shield, Shining Diamond, or Brilliant Pearl, Violet, or Scarlet? Or Scarlet, Let's Go Eevee, Let's Go Pikachu. It's one of those, I would imagine.
That's so many. Is it Pokemon Sword and Shield?
I'll give it to you. Yes, it's Pokemon Sword.
Okay.
They released them at the same. It's the same game.
Yeah,
that's why I said I give it to you. And you're at 22, so I feel better about this list. All right, so you got Pokemon Sword and 22 questions. On to game 2.
Is it third person?
Yes.
Did it come out during the Xbox One, PlayStation 4 generation?
No.
Okay.
It's 25.
Is it likely that we have played it? I won't say
yes.
Have we played it, because you don't know every game we've played, but
it is likely.
So, okay. Third person. I was going to ask another generation, but I feel like if it's likely that we've played it, it's probably a more recent game. I don't think he's pulling from the 360 PS3 era. I don't know that though.
I don't know of
I don't know how many I don't know how many games all three of us played from back then.
Lord of the Rings: Return of the King.
True. Is it based on a franchise, like a an other media franchise, something like a movie or a TV show or something like that.
Yes.
So it could be Lord of the Rings: Return of the King.
Did it come out in the last 5 years?
No.
A little older.
Yes and no. Last 5 years is just the most recent generation, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And you said Xbox One, PlayStation 4, so
Yeah. All right. Is it like OG Xbox, PS2, GameCube era?
Yes.
All right.
well, is it Lord of the Rings: Return of the King?
It is.
Wow. Nice.
What a comeback.
Yes.
Got that one in 8 questions. You are now at question 30.
Could have
All right.
had it at like 5 if I wasn't a chicken.
I was gonna say, as soon as you guys like brought it up on question 2, I was like, what?
Yeah.
We're gonna struggle with
All right.
Pokemon forever, but
Yeah. I'm going to change the way I'm asking this question. Did it come out before the Xbox One, PlayStation 4 era?
Yes.
Okay. So it's older game.
older game. Did we play it on a shared console?
Me and you?
Yeah.
No.
It's a PC game.
PC game, or it could be something he got on like his 360 that I didn't really play.
Yeah. Is it a console exclusive?
No.
Okay.
Is it third person?
Yes.
Is it rated M for mature?
I don't think so. Let me double check.
T-rated game. T-rated third-person game from before the Xbox One era.
Left 4 Dead was M.
And first person.
Yes, it was not rated M. That's 35 questions.
Is it Sphinx and the Cursed Mummy?
No.
I guess
Good
we did
guess.
play that on a shared console. Great game, by the way, listener, if you've never heard of Sphinx and the Cursed Mummy.
Is it a shooter?
No.
Is it World of Warcraft?
No.
Is it a platformer?
No.
Is it a rhythm game?
No. That's 40.
Is it part of a series?
No.
Single game.
That throws out the Assassin's Creed franchise.
Mhm.
And Prince of Persia, which is the other place.
Yep.
Which I guess you asked if it was a platformer. Not console exclusive. Is it set on our Earth?
Yes.
And you asked if it was a shooter, right, Dylan?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not.
No. Is it a 360 PS3 era game?
No.
So old.
Yeah, when you asked me like if it was you asked if it was a platformer, right? Or
Mhm.
side scroller, or something like
Platformer.
that. I went and looked up the gameplay.
So it's not
What
a
a
game
throwback.
he's familiar with either.
Yeah. Foggy at best.
Not.
It's a pretty big hint.
Did you ask if it was a first person shooter or.
A shooter in general, third or first, is implied, I guess.
Yeah, it's neither.
But
of
it's, I think you asked if it was a third person game, though, earlier.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Is the Silent Hill franchise rated M? Gotta
Yeah.
be.
and it's part of a series. So
And part of a
it's not part of a
series, As are
series.
the Resident Evil games. So it's
Mhm.
not.
Well, and I'm assuming it was like Xbox, PlayStation, GameCube era, but it theoretically could be earlier than that.
Yeah, I'm not ruling out PC.
Or Nintendo 64,
Yeah.
which I'm basically useless on because I played
Ooh.
Super Smash Brothers and
I was gonna
GoldenEye
say-
and Mario Kart, and that's it. So
You rule out well, is it a racing game?
No. Gonna have to start asking some smart questions.
Is it a story driven game?
Yeah. That's 45.
we're still ahead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna start giving you like hints until you're behind.
Yeah. Is this an Xbox, GameCube, PlayStation 2 era game?
Yes.
Okay, thank goodness.
Now that you've nailed that down, you
Yeah.
can get it out of your head and move on to something else.
Does it have a female protagonist?
I think you might be able to play as a female, yeah.
So helpful.
I just had the thought of like, well, maybe it's a
I
fighting
think-
game, but I feel like most fighting games you'd be able to say like, yeah, you can play as a female.
I don't know that he'd classify a fighting game as a third-person view either. So,
If
and
not
most
third
fighting
person, what
games
is
at
it?
this point are part of a franchise, which this isn't.
And also not story driven, really.
Yeah.
Unless it's Mortal Kombat or Injustice or something,
Yeah.
which is still
Mhm.
not
It's still
really
a
story driven,
paper-thin
just has
story.
like a story mode.
You said it was story-driven?
Yes. For the time. Come on.
Yeah, I mean... Well, it's not a console exclusive, right?
Nope.
We figured that out. So,
Was GoldenEye first person?
Yes.
yeah, but GoldenEye was before Xbox GameCube era.
Yeah, it was in 64.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know, there were other James Bond games, so it technically was part of a series. The series thing is what's throwing me, because I can
Yeah,
think of a
that's-
lot of
that's
games
really
that meet
what's throwing me
this.
This is probably the hardest game on the list.
You don't say.
You're still technically ahead.
Yeah.
Have any of us, to your knowledge, played this game?
Yes.
Okay.
That sort of helps. It's a sort of helpful question.
Yeah.
We could, I guess, ask specifically who, but have I played this game?
Right?
Is that your question?
No,
Okay.
not yet. It's Aubrey's turn.
Well, I did technically skip you because I had a question in mind, so. But.
Do you? If you don't have a question, I can ask that question.
I mean, yeah, go ahead.
Have I specifically played this game
Yes.
that you're aware of? Okay.
Yeah, that I'm aware of. You've played this game.
I am so.
Which means it's a GameCube or Xbox game, because I didn't play PlayStation games.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's not an exclusive.
Well, yeah, it's on Xbox and GameCube. It's not, but I would have played it on Xbox and GameCube.
Is it based off of movie, book, wider like lore or universe?
Yes, that's 50.
Is it that Pirates of the Caribbean MMO?
No.
Okay.
Was that on consoles?
No, but
Okay.
technically PC could have been that generate,
Well, and he had to look up gameplay, which means he hasn't played it in a long time, if he played it at all.
Mhm.
I mean, shoot. Was there a Chronicles of Narnia tie-in game?
Yes,
what was
there
that?
were, but
What was that game with the random encounters and the eye would pop up and it would freak you guys out?
as Lord of the Rings: The Third Age, it was on GameCube and Xbox, but is that part of a series, like Lord of the Rings series? I don't know. Probably not. I don't think.
Not like
he-
a series of games.
No, that could be it.
It's your question.
Is it? I thought I just asked the Pirates of the Caribbean one.
Okay. Is it the Lord of the Rings, The Third Age?
No.
Damn.
Wasn't that game kind of top down, like the Baldur's Gate games, like
Mm-mm.
more isometric?
No, it
Uh,
was third person. Yeah. I'm trying to think of like what I played back then.
You asked, you know that it is set on our Earth,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's based on a franchise
true.
outside
So,
of gaming.
Not the Lord of the
Okay.
Rings.
It's based on a franchise outside of gaming.
Yeah, like it's based on a book or a TV show or a movie or something.
Oh, no. Never mind. It's not on our Earth. I was about to guess the Aragon game. Our Earth.
Is there like
Part
a
of an
24 game
external-
or something?
Not that I played.
I'm trying to think of like stuff from that era. Like,
Yeah, I'm trying to
made
think
into a
because it's
game.
like, because I played Halo. I played Star Wars Battlefront 2. I played Call of Duty on the Xbox.
I was gonna say on our Earth, but also not a shooter. And then I have like no idea.
Is it a fighting game?
No.
Okay.
And just because it's set on our Earth doesn't mean that it's like historically accurate or
Yeah. I was gonna guess
Yeah.
the Godzilla like beat him up on
Yeah.
Xbox.
Yeah, I was gonna say. To be behind you guys, you're on the third game, so you need to be at 660.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of like stuff from that era.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this one is definitely slanted towards Dylan.
Yeah.
So
Is it? Is it really?
Is it are you like primarily in a vehicle in this game?
no.
No. I don't know what that helps.
Yeah.
It's not a racing game and you're not primarily in a vehicle.
I assumed in the Godzilla game you were in a tank.
No,
play as
you were Godzilla. Why would anyone want to play a Godzilla game where they were a dude in a tank?
I don't know.
Okay. Did I play this on Xbox?
Yes, more than likely.
Okay.
I would imagine that's where you played it. You're at 55. At 60, I'll give you a hint that should
clear it up.
probably click it. Yeah. If you can't get there in 5 questions.
Okay. Do we know if I played it?
We don't know that
You
yet.
did. Oh, I thought that was your question.
That was my question, Andrew. Do you?
You did not
I
play
did not
this
play
game.
this game. Okay. Well, good luck, Dylan.
Yeah. Is it a single player game? Or is there a multiplayer component? I guess is the better question.
Yes. But like when you say multiplayer, do you mean like competitive?
Either co-op or
Oh, okay. Yes.
on the OG Xbox. I played like 6 games and 2 of them were Halo. So
So what were the other 4?
it was like Halo, Battlefront
Is it Modern
2.
Warfare? That's not a shooter.
You
No.
asked about shooters.
No, I didn't play any Call of Duty games on the OG Xbox. And that's part of a series. Damn it.
I feel like I remember. Well, it's again a shooter. Never mind.
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully, I'm pretty sure you played this game.
Yeah, how many guesses do we get back, or questions do we get back if we're basing this off a lie? Because I played like Halo, I played Prince of Persia, I played Knights of the Old Republic, I played Battlefront 2. I'm sure there are other OG Xbox games. They're all sitting in a box in the hallway right now. It's not a shooter. It's not a fighting game. It's not a racing game.
It is story driven. It is third person.
Is it an RPG?
I don't think so. It may. This is like before they had RPG elements and everything. So
It's not rated M. Not that you would have
No.
maybe played an M-rated game.
I was gonna say
leveled up and stuff in it, but
Yeah. If I was playing it on the OG Xbox and it wasn't Halo, it wasn't rated M. So
that was you got 2 more questions till I give you a hint.
Not a platformer.
I didn't play platformers.
Did the original Fable come out on Xbox?
It did, but it was rated M. It's part of a series, and I didn't play it. So
I don't have any frame of reference for games from that era that aren't a part of like a bigger series.
Yeah, same. It's one that clearly maybe wasn't good enough to get a part of a series. And it's multiplayer, which means Andrew has probably played this game with me.
Probably.
You know it's part of a franchise.
It's not. Wait, is it a part of a franchise?
Is that a part of a
Like
series?
outside of gaming.
But it is
Oh,
more
okay.
I think it's
franchise.
part of a franchise outside of game, like an IP.
Mm-hmm.
But it's set on our Earth.
But it may
But like
maybe
alternate
it wasn't good
timeline
enough to
or-
get a series.
Yeah. So it's none of the Star Wars games. It's none of the.
It's not Aragon. It's not Lord of the Rings. It's not. Was there a Chronicles of Narnia game?
There was, but there were multiples of them. And I think it came out on the 360.
Hmm.
I don't think it was OG Xbox.
Because that could Sort of half BR Earth.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. I know what this game is.
Did you get there? What is it?
Is it the King Arthur movie tie-in game?
Yes. King Arthur, literally just called King Arthur, and then in quotes, video game. One player, there are two players in each level. One would be AI or could be controlled by a second player. That's why I said I wasn't sure about the female protagonist, because like there was
you could
like
play
Keira
as
Knightley or somebody with a bow on the on the cover. So I never played this game. I don't think I was allowed to see the movie when it came out, and so couldn't play the game. Came out in 2004.
Well, this was like a weird movie that had both a like R-rated and PG-13 rated cut. Like,
did they?
Mm-hmm.
I've still never seen it, but all right.
It's
the gameplay
okay.
looks pretty rough.
The movie's pretty cool. I haven't seen it in 20 years, but it's pretty cool.
Trust me, guys. I forgot it existed, but it's pretty cool.
All right, you're at 59 guesses, moving into game number 4.
That was a rough one.
But we got there. You got there without needing the big hint.
Yeah. What was your big hint?
I was going to tell you that you were like on the right path with Narnia and Lord of the Rings and like that style of game, that idea, which is where you ended up eventually.
Is it?
I completely forgot that game existed.
Of course you did.
I think most people
sounds incredibly forgettable.
I think Aubrey asked.
Is it third person?
Oh, no. That's 60.
Did it come out before the Xbox One, PlayStation 4 era?
Xbox One, PlayStation 4? Yes.
Switch?
Yeah.
Okay. Or no, actually, I guess that would be the Wii U. Was that the Wii? Is that part of the... I don't know when that era is.
I count the Switch in that one, but yeah, Nintendo kind of like jumped to like half step.
They're off
with everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it a console exclusive?
No.
Okay. And it came out... What was your answer? It came out before?
Yes, it did come out before that generation.
Did it come out during the 360... PlayStation Wii era, PlayStation 3 Wii era?
Yes.
Okay.
Is it a part of a series?
Yes.
And it's not console exclusive. Is it a shooter?
No.
Okay.
Is it Prince of Persia?
No. I guess I should have made you pick a specific game. But we'll eliminate the whole series.
Is it part of that franchise, or is it part of that series?
Well, is it?
I mean,
is it a? Did we guess if it's part of a series yet, or
we did?
Was that last time for this game?
It is a part of a series.
Okay. It is a part of a series. Okay. Do you play as a female protagonist, or is there the option to play as a female protagonist? I guess.
Yes.
Okay.
Is it a fighting game?
Yes.
360 GameCube era fighting game.
360 Wii. Yeah. Are they superheroes?
No.
Okay, so it's not Injustice.
I think Injustice 1 was Xbox One era. But it's also not Marvel versus Capcom.
Injustice 1 was Xbox 360.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Also, I'm going to give you a little bit of a freebie, because this game, it must have came out also like in the generation you asked, but it also came out in the generation before. Like it originally came out
on Xbox. Okay, so it was like it was probably a launch title, or like a cross-gen.
Yeah, it was either cross. Yeah, looking at the date here, I think that they may have listed like some sort of remaster or something. I'm not sure.
Okay, which means it's not a console exclusive, so it's not Smash Bros. Which means it's probably one of the what's the one with Ivy?
Soul Calibur.
That would my guess is it would be one of the Soul Caliburs, because I don't think he's picking a Mortal Kombat or a Tekken game.
Yeah.
It could be like an obscure fighter, though. A
Could
more
be.
obscure one.
But unless it was like a cross release between Xbox and 360, I don't know that they remastered any like.
Could have been cross-release between GameCube and Wii.
Yeah.
It originally came out on the like PS2, GameCube
Okay.
generation,
Okay.
but this like the page I'm looking at for like reference has the 360 PS3 generation listed as well.
Okay.
Is it Soul Calibur 2?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
They did remaster it for the
Okay.
360.
I'm surprised.
Yeah, I mean, the release date is 2002, so that's why I was like, I thought that question might get a little murky because
Yeah. 'Cause they
Wikipedia has it
definitely list out
listed.
what that is.
They have it. The platform is listed as arcade, GameCube, PlayStation 2, Xbox, PlayStation 3, Xbox 360. So
Mm-hmm.
they
Yeah.
must have lumped in the like remasters on this page.
Okay.
All right, so now you're back ahead. You got 30 questions to get the last game.
Okay. Speed round.
Yeah. Did it come out before the Xbox One, PlayStation 4 era?
Yes.
Is it third person?
No.
Is it a
Ooh.
console exclusive?
It is exclusive.
Ooh.
It's a PC game. It's Majesty.
Is it a part of a series?
Yes.
Is it Majesty?
Yes. 75 questions. Not bad. You really only got hung up on one.
Yeah.
And I wonder why.
Hey, I'm gauging like what you can
I know,
handle
yeah.
here. So
No,
you
and
made it. You still are 25 ahead.
We did quite good with this, all things considered. The dopamine rush of like, though, I mean, it could be Lord of the Rings Return of the King. It is Lord of the Rings Return of the King. Like,
Mm-hmm.
unmatched. My
Yep.
favorite game.
Well, there you have it. That was a fun game. You guys are going to sound a lot snappier and quicker with your guesses in post
Yeah.
for the
No,
sake of the
that's
listener.
definitely how we were in real life.
We
Going
were
through this
so
game.
Johnny on the spot with all of our questions.
Oh,
Neurons
man.
firing.
But even with my editing, this will be probably a bit of a longer episode. So as far as housekeeping goes, go follow us on YouTube. Check us out. I think our most recent video is a retrospective kind of a bit of a longer video that I did on Assassin's Creed Black Flag. So definitely would love for you to check that out and get some feedback on that one. Like I said at the top of the show, Discord's the best place to come hang out with us, and we would greatly appreciate any sort of engagement you can give us on either podcasting platforms and apps or on YouTube if that's where you consume our content. So likes, comments, reviews, ratings, all that goes a long way. With all that being said, I guess, Aubrey, do you have anything quick that's weird to say? Or you?
Yeah. So norovirus is going around right now. That's basically food poisoning. That's one of those like holding a bucket sitting on the toilet kind of infections. Lives on surfaces. You have to kill it with a bleach solution. It can live on surfaces for days. Also, hand sanitizer does not kill it. So if you find yourself in that situation for your loved ones and anybody else you may potentially come in contact with, wash your hands with soap and water and clean surfaces with a bleach solution.
Cool.
You always
And stay safe out there.
end podcasts in such a fun way. We need to get back to you complaining about like headlights and stuff, not talking about like
Look,
awful puking viruses. But
we're
tis
in
the
that time
season.
of year. Yeah.
yeah. All right. Well, with that being said, thank you all so much for listening. We'll catch you on the next one. Stay friendly, gamers.